Today's Spotlight is brought to you in part by presenting sponsor, Busey Bank. Busey, your dream, our promise. You're watching Spotlight, and today I'm joined by Joe Hurd and Sarah Tenzer. They're here representing the Naperville Hurling Club, so welcome.
Thank you.
Glad you came in uniform. That's always nice, so thanks for that. And I'm going to start out with you, Sarah. So what is hurling?
So hurling's a 3,000-year-old Irish sport. It's pretty basic rules, but it can be complicated to play. So this is what we have. It's called a hurl here, and you use this to pick up the ball off the ground because you're not allowed to use your hands. And then you can use it to strike the ball into the goal or through a pair of uprights with 3 points if the ball goes in the goal and 1 point if it goes through the uprights.
Okay, I like that. Kind of two different ways to score points, right?
Yeah.
But I can't use my hands.
You can't use the hand to pick the ball up off the ground. You can't use your hands to throw the ball.
Okay, all right. And would this be what I would be wearing if I were playing?
Yeah, so the only piece of required equipment is a helmet here.
Okay.
In America, sometimes people will wear shin guards or gloves to help protect their hands and their ankles and their legs if they choose to.
Okay, because I think, yes, quite hard if they hit you. Talk a little bit, Joe, about how this sort of differs from American sports and how you got involved in it.
So it really differs in that it's a conglomeration of a lot of sports. So it's got the skills of baseball, it's got the skills of rugby, but it's very fast-paced. It's also known as the fastest sport on grass. So it's constantly moving, much like basketball. And, I got involved because I grew up in a small town in Florida. I have red hair, so everyone associated me with Ireland. So I thought maybe I should learn about my culture, or my heritage, I should say. And I learned about it. I knew about the sport. And then when I moved up to Chicago, I instantly went, oh, there's a big community here. Maybe there's a sport. And I found one right down the street.
Isn't that wonderful?
It is wonderful.
It really is. And I think that's so nice that you looked into it and you wanted to play something that kind of probably your ancestors played, right?
Yeah.
Because we know it's an age-old sport.
Oh, yeah.
Now, you talked about it being the fastest sport on grass, but you also play indoors, right?
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about the differences when you come indoors for the season.
So obviously we're in Chicago, and so it's hard to play January, February, March with it being, freezing and snowy, and so we'll take our sport inside. So we play in an indoor soccer facility. We go down to 7-a-side, and then it's basically the same rules, but we do allow people to play off the walls, kind of like you do in indoor soccer. And then because of the limitation of our field, we don't play with the points through the uprights. We just play with just goals.
Okay.
But other than that, it's essentially the same rules and same fast-paced sport we do outside.
And I think that's kind of fun. I mean, I love it when, we obviously live in the north, so you have to kind of adapt and come inside because you can't play soccer in the snow either. But it's fun, though. I often think that when you do those indoor versions where there's a little bit difference, where you said, like, you can play off the walls and that kind of stuff, it makes for some interesting times, right?
Oh,
yeah. Talk a little bit for me about the outdoor season, though, right? When does that start?
So the outdoor season starts right when it gets warm. We kind of overlap with the indoor season. We'll be able to start running outside and getting games going. That's typically end of March or April, whenever it stops snowing.
Okay.
And that will take us all the way into end of November when the sun's kind of setting and we're not allowed to be outside, or I shouldn't say allowed to be outside. We're not able to be outside because of the sun.
It's just not conducive.
Not conducive.
And so your indoor season then picks up in?
We'll start playing our indoor season in the middle of January.
Okay. All right. So talk a little bit about, on average, Joe, how much would it cost me to get involved in hurling? Because I know a lot of times, you hear different sports, hockey, football, costs a lot of money, and that's a consideration, right? So talk a little bit about hurling and what that is involved.
So with hurling, it's not very expensive to start up. We have the helmets, which normally start off at $65. The sticks, if you go with an ash hurley, that's about $40, $35, depending upon where we source them. Or if you go with the fiberglass, which we have here, that's normally about $45 as well. On top of that, we have annual fees, which are running about $80 for our club itself, and then $60 for the association. But once you pay that, that's good for all year, and we're able to keep going all year.
Okay, I mean, that's very reasonable. And so talk a little bit about the age grouping, because obviously neither one of you are small children. Do you do it for small children? What's kind of the age range for the club?
So the age range from the club is we typically start at 15, allowing kids to play, just because they're starting to get towards the middle part of puberty and able to keep up with a lot of the adults who are playing. But we actually have people that have started playing when they were 60. So they've known about the sport, but they didn't have a way to play, and they've gotten right into it. They play alongside of us. We actually organize it so that we're not putting the young stud who just got off the lacrosse team with the 60-year-old guy, but we have a large age group. We would love to get a youth program going. The problem is parents are interested. It's just organizing it and having the members to be able to go and help coach the children.
Yeah, well, and particularly because it's a sport that the average person hasn't grown up with, and they probably don't know the rules. I often think that about soccer in America for a long time, but they grow, so there's opportunities to grow with that. Talk a little bit about, I know there's a female version of the sport. For the hurling, is it both genders can play hurling?
Yeah, so here in Naperville, especially our indoor league and our summer league, we'll play co-ed. With the only variation is when the women play, it's called camogie.
Okay.
And there's some slight rule variations of how the women can score. They have more different ways to score than the men do. And so when we play kind of inter-club stuff, we play mixed, and then when we travel, our women will pair up with other camogie clubs, and our men will play with other hurling clubs. Okay,
so that kind of builds like a nice social network too, right? I mean, you came up from Florida and got started, but you could be moving other places and meeting people. That's great.
When our club members leave the area for school or whatever, we do try to help connect them to the hurling and camogie clubs in their new cities to help them.
Oh, that's nice. That's great. That's terrific. Now, as we wrap up, what are some of the upcoming events that you can tell us about?
So we talked about, we have our indoor season coming up. It's going to start the middle of January. At Players Indoor, just here in Naperville, and the registration for that will start the end of November.
Okay, and they can just register online for that?
Yep, it's going to be on the Naperville Hurling website. Registration links.
Okay, wonderful. Well, listen, I think it's a great game. I have actually had the benefit of watching it, and like you said, it's super fast, lightning quick, and very interesting. So I encourage everybody to at least come check it out, right?
Of course, yeah. We're always open for social members as well.
Okay, so I could just come on out and check it out.
Check it out, hang out with the team, grab a beer.
Nice. I like that. That might be just my style. So thank you so much for stopping by. And if you're interested in learning more about this exciting sport and the Naperville Hurling Club specifically, please go and visit their website. We're going to take a quick break, but stay with us. We'll be right back with more Spotlight.